Well, hello again, all my YouTubers. Welcome to another featured machine from my world of classic dirt bike archives. Now, this featured machine may not be familiar to all my loyal dirt bike followers, especially my European subscribers, although there is no doubt that it'll be more or less a household name among dirt bike fanatics across the pond over there in the USA. And the machine we're going to feature today is Andrew Craig's 1989 ATK 250 MX. Now, the ATK motorcycle company was formed by Austrian engineer Horst Leitner in the early 1980s. Now, the ATK brand name comes from an innovative and what at the time was quite a radical device for a dirt bike called the Tension Kettenantrieb. Now, the Tension Kettenantrieb, basically it was a unique rear drivetrain tensioning device which ran from the rear wheel sprocket through to tensioning rollers at the front of the swing arm. Now, the purpose of this anti-tensioning system was to eliminate the chain torque produced when the bike was in race condition. Now, the device would later be known as simply the A-Trax. And of course, the company name ATK was an abbreviation of Leitner's brand new anti-tensioning Kettenantrieb. Now, Horst Leitner and ATK had some really innovative and interesting ideas when it came to designing improvements on their off-road machines, and one that really intrigued me was this countershaft primary sprocket disc brake. Now, this Gramica manufactured disc brake was bolted directly onto the primary drive sprocket and was hailed back in 1989 as the most unique and most effective rear brake ever on an off-road motorcycle, and that was quoted by Cycle World magazine in March 1989. Now, ATK maintained the main reason they mounted the rear disc onto the primary sprocket and not to the rear wheel was because they claimed the extra weight on the rear wheel would amount to an additional 5 pounds more than it needed to be, which of course would add extra weight to every movement of the rear suspension. Now, as far as ATK are concerned, their innovation in producing radical ideas to improve the overall ride for motocross bikes continued when they also included this super high volume airbox, which utilised a snorkel type intake from the carburetor to the filter, which of course was then tucked up out of harm's way under the fuel tank, which went into a foam filter. And by all accounts, this snorkel type air filter system worked extremely well and only required the minimum of maintenance during racing conditions. And you can just about see the end of the snorkel system going into the air filter under the tank. Now, of course, this is not the original exhaust pipe for this particular machine. Andrew still has the original exhaust for the bike, although this had been through the motocross wars when Andrew first purchased the bike and was in bad need of major repairs with all the battle damage it had suffered through the years of abuse on the track. So Andrew opted for a high quality replacement PEP handmade pipe from the USA. And one of the other factors Andrew took into account when he decided to change the pipe was that the original pipe was extremely heavy. Now the handlebars, the levers, the throttle gasser and all associated cables, as far as I am aware, are all original items on this bike. Now, as far as the wheels are concerned, when Andrew first purchased the bike, both the front and rear alloy wheels were in a terrible state and had many dings, dents and other various attempts at welding to the many cracks that were apparent due to the years of abuse on the track. So as the wheels were in a far too dangerous state to be used, Andrew replaced them with a pair of quality SM Pro rims, and these were also rebuilt with brand new stainless steel spokes. Now this ATK 250 in 1989, as you can see, had a floating front disc mounted on the front, which was quite a new thing for motocross bikes at that time. Of course, these well-proven little Rotax two-stroke motors have disc valve induction systems to feed the carb with fuel. It's just a simple rotating fibre disc on the end of the crankshaft that controls the induction of gas into the motor. Of course, another ATK designed innovation was to have the fuel cap positioned to just one side of the tank. This was designed basically just to make filling up easier. They also made the tank slightly translucent so you could physically see how much gas was actually in the tank. Now, as most of ATK's motocross rivals were using a lot of aluminium in their frame construction, ATK decided just to stick with chrome moly for the swing arm because they thought it would be lighter and they could make it smaller, and of course it had a greater tensile strength than aluminium. Now, while similar manufacturers were still opting to fit their Evolution motorcycles with a single monoshock in the centre of the swing arm, naturally ATK were not going to follow the pack. ATK's thinking was to mount their single white power shock to one side of the swing arm, and this position was chosen purely as a servicing issue and that the shock would be easily accessed and then changed quickly during a racing situation, rather than it being mounted centrally, whereby more dismantling of the rear of the bike would be needed to conduct a similar exercise. Now, the ATK revolution for innovation continued when they also fitted this quite unique backward facing rear brake pedal. It can't be bent, it can't be damaged or broken by a berm, root or rock because it doesn't stick out, ATK claimed when they designed this brake pedal for this particular bike. Personally, I think it's a great idea, and it's one to which I can relate, having broken many of these brake pedals on my old Myco when I raced it back in the day. Now with a 205 pounds dry weight for this 1989 250 is considerably 20 pounds lighter than any of its comparable water-cooled rivals, so surely that has to be a plus when it comes to riding this particular bike on the track. Now this of course is still an original 1989 250, and the bike has never been restored other than having the wheels and other parts like the exhaust and the chain replaced, which of course had to be done purely on the grounds that they were just too badly damaged to be used on the bike. Now Andrew has yet to sling his leg over the bike and actually try it on the track, because lately he has just been far too busy with work commitments as a paramedic and other things like his family life, so he has not had the chance to actually try the bike on the track, but hopes to remedy that situation very soon. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. That's Andrew Craig's 1989 ATK 250 MX. So that's just about it from me. Thanks for taking the time to look at this video. Look out for more classic dirt bikes coming soon to my YouTube channel.